Hey guys, so I've been waiting for my flu to pass before I film this video, but it seems to be holding on for dear life, so just bear with me. I might cough a little bit, I might sneeze, we'll get through it. Word to the wise, please go get your flu shot. Anyway, this week my group was assigned the topic of how people without disabilities may judge or stereotype people with disabilities in regards to sexuality or romantic relationships. We were also asked to discuss how we think those judgments could be turned around into something more positive or supportive. I really didn't know where to begin with this topic, and aside from the material given to us in class, I find it difficult to find literature on this topic. After discussing it with my group, we noticed that some themes kept surfacing. One of those was that people without disabilities view people with disabilities as either asexual, aromantic, or hypersexual. Asexuality describes someone who has no interest or desire for sex. There are people in the world who are asexual, but that doesn't mean that every single individual with a disability fits into the asexual category. The majority of human beings are sexual creatures. It's how we are programmed to survive, and one of the ways that we communicate affection and love. Sex aside, society also seems to view those with disabilities as aromantic, not interested in romantic relationships. Human beings all need companionship in one form or another, and it's not fair to assume that because someone has a disability that they are also unable or unwilling to engage in a romantic relationship. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have hypersexuality. This is something that is mostly attributed to those with psychological disabilities for whatever reason. This view shows up in the media quite often. For example, I've seen it in episodes of American Horror Story where patients with psychological disabilities are chronic masturbators or nymphomaniacs. My group came to the consensus that people without disabilities may have these skewed versions of romance and sex in regards to people with disabilities because general society has never taken the time to have these conversations, to ask about the needs or desires of those with disabilities. We still live in a time where people with disabilities are not integrated or included in many facets of everyday life, where people with disabilities may feel hesitant to speak about the romantic or sexual side of themselves because they have internalized that they are not allowed to experience either. One sec. Education, inclusion, and integration are how my group and I decided the view could change. Education to the general public about people with disabilities. Sexual education to those with disabilities so that they know romance and sex are still allowed in their lives, and how to manifest those feelings and urges for those with psychological disabilities. Inclusion and integration in schools, the workplace, concerts, etc. will help to desensitize those without disabilities so that they can look past the disability and see a human being. The more that people with disabilities are around, the less that people without disabilities will feel awkward or intimidated. The more social barriers that we can break, the more conversations about romance and sexuality can be facilitated.